Hey folks, welcome. It's Christina, and this lecture or this talk is going to be all about informational interviews. Sometimes these are called coffee chats. That's why there's a picture of coffee on the background, and also why not coffee? Okay, let's jump in and let's talk about what exactly is an informational interview. What we're going to look at today is what is an informational interview. I'll walk you through brainstorming who you know that you could talk to. We'll talk about how to request information for an informational interview, how to prepare for that interview, how to develop a plan, and then we'll do wrap up and homework. All right. So, what is an informational interview? First of all, it's not something that's scary. Lots of people really have a lot of anxiety around this. I want to walk you through this. So, hopefully, you feel like this is a good opportunity instead of something to be anxious about. And of course, if you're currently in one of my classes, you're always welcome to call, text, or email me and we can talk through it together. So, an informational interview is literally just a conversation with a professional to learn about their career path, to learn about industry trends, and to get some advice. Y'all, it is not a job interview. You are not asking for a job in an informational interview. Sometimes people have gotten offered a job in informational interviews, but please get in your mind, if you are going on an informational interview, you are seeking information. You are not like manipulating to try to like get in and get a job and get the inside hookup. So just keep that in mind. That will be a really big turnoff for the person that you're doing that informational interview with. Okay, why do we do them? Well, it's to gain industry insights. If you're talking to someone who's working in the industry that you want to work in, or someone maybe you are trying to promote in your current industry or at your current job, talking to someone who has a level of job that you're interested in can give you some insights. It also expands your professional network and you can learn about hidden job opportunities. Here's what that means. Many times I have had students or clients go on an informational interview. Like we've prepared it, we've gotten all the questions, we are set, we're good to go. The person goes on the informational interview, and a couple of weeks later, they'll get a call or an email, and the person will say, "Hey, I just want to let you know this job's going to open up, and I think you should post for it." To me, that is the coolest thing when that happens from an informational interview. Now, if you're in class with me currently, you'll see in our course shell there are a few videos to walk you through a few more tips about informational interview and about building those questions. So just make sure you check those out as well. Okay, why does this informational interview matter? Well, the class you're in right now is preparing you to enter the workforce and or preparing you to elevate yourself in your current career. So you can learn about a career from someone with real experience. Back when I worked in the financial industry, I did many informational interviews. If I thought I wanted to go into a certain sector of the bank, I would set up an informational interview. And one of I think the funnest story I have from that time is I thought I wanted to go into the mortgage side, so the lending side of the banking industry. And I knew a mortgage banker. And so I sent an email to Arturo and I said, "Hey, I want to do an informational interview. I'm looking at what my next places in the bank are going to be. Would you be willing to spend 30 minutes to an hour with me and talk about what you do?" So Arturo emails me back and says, "Yeah, of course, totally." So we go to lunch. And as Arturo was telling me about his job as a mortgage banker, I literally was like, this is 100% not the job for me. And so, we finished our conversation. It was great. And I thanked him for his time. And to me, that was really valuable because while I had the skill sets to do that job, I did not have the passion and interest to do what Arturo did on a day-to-day basis. That was like not my jam. So the informational interview really can give you some inside information, some inside tips on what it takes to succeed. It can also help you make really valuable industry connections. Some of the jobs I got in the financial industry were because of connections. And actually, this job that I have at my current college was because of an industry connection. So, it really is about networking. It really is about making connections with people. And like I said earlier, there is an opportunity that you might hear about jobs even before they're posted. Now, in the classroom shell, if you're one of my students, we have a career connections map. And what that is it's just a little worksheet to help you think through or brainstorm, like, who could I connect with for an informational interview? And I encourage my students to think of this as like three different circles. Like if you took a blank piece of paper and you put three circles on it, and in one of the circles or in one of the areas of the paper, you put like the people that I know personally that I could do an informational interview with. Maybe you want to go into the insurance industry and your uncle has an insurance business, or your somebody you go to church with, their neighbor has an insurance business. So think about who are the people that you know personally and who are the people they might know. So that example of the person at church who knows somebody, that would be an example of somebody who knows somebody. And then the third circle there is the people I could reach out to. So think about, can I reach out to this person? And what that means is, like, am I willing to reach out to this person? Am I willing to get somebody's name from a friend and call them up or email them and say, hey, I got your name from my friend and I'm a student at the college and I really want to go into this industry. Would you be willing to talk to me? So the third set is, or that third circle or section of people is really the narrowed down list. So out of all of those people, who are the people that you could or would reach out to? And then a kind of like a little bonus section of folks is, who could help you connect for an informational interview? Now, let's say, I'm just going to use this example. Let's say you want to be a professional speaker and you want to work with small businesses, then I would think of, okay, who do you know that is a professional speaker or that knows a professional speaker? Who do you know that works with small businesses already? If you're hung up on that, you are more than welcome to reach out to me. I can definitely, over a quick phone call or a quick Zoom meeting, I can help you brainstorm who are some people. Lots of times, your teachers at school can help you think of someone to interview. All right. So, like I said, there's a little worksheet in your course shell that I would encourage you to take some time to do. You do not have to turn that one in for this class session, but it is a good brainstorming sheet. The next thing we are going to talk about is, how do you request an informational interview? Well, to keep yourself from being that annoying person who sends a whole lot of emails, what I would recommend is, number one, keep it short and professional. The person doesn't need to know your whole life story. Just keep it short. Explain who you are and why you're reaching out. Be clear about your request. So, you'll decide how much time do you need. Maybe it's 15 minutes, maybe it's 30, maybe it's an hour. But make sure that the request you make is accurate. If you say, I want 15 minutes of your time, do not stay for 20 or 30 minutes. So make sure that you really think about and be intentional about your request. And when you're sending that informational interview request, it's a good idea to show genuine interest in their work, like make it an authentic request. So those requests are who you are, why you're reaching out, what you admire about their career or them, and then the most important part is, make the yes easy. Could we meet over Zoom on a Tuesday after 3 p.m. this month? Like, those give really specific details instead of doing the back and forth. Well, what day's good for you? What about you tell me what day's good for you? So just make sure that you make that yes really easy. So here's a sample request that you might send for an informational interview. So this just says, hi, Lisa. I hope you are doing well. My name is Christina, and I'm a business student at Rogue Community College. As part of my degree path, I am seeking to make connections to those in the accounting field in the Rogue Valley. I would like to learn more about you and your career path with the city of Grants Pass. Would you be open to a short 20-minute chat during the next 2 weeks? I would love to hear about your experience and any advice you have for someone entering this field. I've listed a few days and times below that would work. If I need to connect with someone to get on your schedule, kindly share their contact. Best, and then you could sign your name. Now, this is a sample request. There's not really a person over at the City of Grants Pass that this is written to. This is literally made up example, but it gives you a good idea of how to make one of these requests. Now, if I knew this person, that request might sound a little bit different. This is a very formal request. So just an example there for you. Okay, what now? When you have had the yes for the interview, now what do you do? Well, step number one is don't freak out. I would recommend you develop your questions. Think about what do you want to know. Actually write your questions down. Having too many questions is really a lot better than not having enough questions. So, sometimes people might answer more than one question with their response. So just think about that. Having a few additional questions is a good idea. Now, part of your work for this week in class is going to be to complete your informational interview planning sheet. And on that sheet, it's a thinking exercise. You will think about, okay, out of that career connections activity, who am I willing to contact about an informational interview? It gives you a section to write down questions. There is a section where you pick a date that you plan to have your interview. Now, this sheet is just a planning sheet. Your informational interview will be part of your final career portfolio project for this class. So you have plenty of time to get this project done as long as you don't wait. So now that we have talked about what is an informational interview, let's take a look at a few questions. Here's some examples. What's a typical day like in your role? What skills are most important for success? How did you get started in this career? What advice would you have for someone entering or planning to enter this field? What can I do now to build myself as a competitive candidate? I love that question because, number one, you are likely, if you're in one of my classes, still in school. Perhaps you're one of my clients and you're just trying to rebuild. But what can I do now to build myself as a competitive candidate? Perhaps there's some training you can take. Perhaps there's some additional certification or some knowledge that you can gain to make yourself a more competitive candidate. Because keep in mind, promotions at work and new jobs are always a competitive situation. Okay, let's take a look at our wrap up and homework. So, a few key takeaways. Informational interviews are great networking tools. I encourage you, you only have to do one for this class, but I really encourage you to consider doing more than one. The second takeaway, you probably know more connections than you think you do. And if you find yourself getting really, really stuck, I want to encourage you to reach out. Let's get on the phone, let's get on the Zoom, and I'll help you kind of broaden out your list and then narrow it down so we can find someone. And then taking action is a key. This activity is so, so, so easy to procrastinate. And I just want to encourage you to start now. And then for homework, you'll finalize your plan, your informational interview plan, and you'll submit that. And then go ahead and get your interview scheduled. So for those of you who are local, a couple of places that you can look for businesses in the area are the chambers of commerce. So I definitely recommend that you reach out to those in the event that you're local. If you're not local, you definitely have a chamber of commerce or a small business development center in your area that could likely connect you with business owners. All right, folks. So that is our lecture all about completing the informational interviews. Please reach out if you have questions, and happy informational interview preparing.